Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all of the women in the Women Enriching Women's Facebook community. How are you all today? And we are here live, yes, live right in the group. I'm here with Sara Gaddy. Yes, she's a wonderful woman. I'm going to say that first. Wonderful Sarah.
Thank you.
She's a Pilates coach and a pelvic floor coach, and also she also runs a company called Happy at Your Core. And she believes that one thing I love about her is that movement is medicine, and I absolutely love that about you, Sarah. That phrase, movement is medicine. So glad to have you here this morning.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Yes. So, one, could you just share to the audience what you do and how you got to this space of really empowering women with movement through body and Pilates and all the things that you do? Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I have been in adult fitness all my sort of adult life. So when I was about in my 20s, I trained to teach aerobics, in those leotards and thongs and the aerobics. And then I had my children. I've got 3 children who are all now in their 20s. And when they were younger, I did a lot of classes that were post their hip. And then when my youngest was born, I ran a preschool exercise and movement business. So I learned to teach fitness and movement to children. When my children were then growing up, I could teach Pilates. And I've taught Pilates now for about 18 years, 18 or 19 years. And I absolutely loved it because what I found is I was working with a lot of women, probably 50 plus, who are up to 90. And it wasn't teaching people to run a marathon. It was teaching people to live active, healthy lives so that they could do everything in life without aches and pains. So if you did have to suddenly run for a bus in your 80s, you can run for that bus. If you want to do your bra strap up, you can do that in your 80s and 90s. So it was looking at keeping everyone moving and keeping people healthy and fit for life. And I, as I said, had 3 children and I was starting to have some leaks. And it was like, okay, this isn't, I feel like I'm doing lots of Pilates. I was doing running and I was gym classes and things at the same time. And I was thinking, how do I stop this that the doctor had told me or the midwives had told me when I'd had my babies, do your squeezes. I was like, I don't know if I'm doing them right, but I'll do them. But I never quite got through the problem and I was still leaking, not terribly, but enough that I don't want to get old and in my 80s or 70s and or 90s and be wearing these nappy pants that my mother had to wear. And so about 5 years ago, one of my clients told me about a course called Adore Your Pelvic Floor. And I did the training and it absolutely transformed my pelvic floor. And I just realized there must be so many women who are suffering with leaks or prolapse or pelvic pain that are too embarrassed to talk about it. And I just want to help them. I want to spread the word and get the word to as many women as possible that you do not have to put up with these issues. So I run classes, Pilates classes, which keep you moving, like we're talking, movement is medicine. And I run pelvic floor workshops in addition to these to help women engage and connect with their core.
That's amazing.
It all makes sense with me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So you don't want women to suffer with leaks. And what kind of leaks is it normally after after women have had births, or is it due to age, or is it due to becoming menopause? What kind of leaks do women go through, suffer from, and why?
Do you know what? A lot of it is childbirth. Having children has a massive effect, obviously, on our bodies. I mean, I've got a little model of my pelvis here. I have this everywhere I go. And it shows here. So in a woman, we have a very wide area of bone. Men have a narrower area because they don't have to push babies out. And then we've got all this area of muscle here with our 3 exits. So we have our anus, our vagina, and our urethra. And these muscles need to be kept strong enough to hold things in, but they also need to be flexible enough that they can let things out like babies, let things in like tampons. And because it's such a wide area of muscle, and the pelvis is connected to about 46 different muscles all coming from it, everything we do in life has an effect on the pelvic floor. So yeah, childbirth, massive pressure. You've got the weight of the baby. So even if you have a C-section, you've still got the weight of the baby, plus the pelvic floor is connected to the deep abdominals and to the diaphragm. So it's all like one area, really. It's not just a pelvic floor. So if you've had surgery, abdominal surgery, it's going to have an effect on the pelvic floor. If you carry heavy things, if you have a job where you're lifting and carrying things, that can put a lot of weight on the pelvic floor. If you just life in general, we know as we get older, our muscles, things get heavy, they drop, don't they? You know, everything gets a little bit looser as we get older. Our collagen reduces. I lost you for a moment. Keeps everything bouncy like a trampoline. But also, you're exactly right, Wunmi. In menopause, our estrogen reduces, keeps it strong. So we start to lose the estrogen, and then it's going to get weaker. So it isn't one thing or another. It's often a build-up of things that can cause leaks. And obviously not just leaks, it causes all sorts of pelvic floor issues and dysfunction.
Okay, thank you for that. So what kind of things would you do? What kind of things do you do to help women combat some of those leaks to do with either menopause or childbirth or a range of things that you're talking about just now?
Yeah. So the great thing is this is muscle. And muscles, we can do things with muscles, can't we? You know, it's like if you've got a weak arm, you pick up some weight. You can't see neatly in that way. Pick up some weights, and I do exercise, and it makes them stronger. So yeah, we can do exercises to make them stronger. But the other thing that women particularly often have an issue with is getting a tightness in their pelvic floor. So if you imagine, so if my biceps, I'm walking around and my biceps are held like this really tightly, and I'm not letting them go, they're going to get weak. That's not going to strengthen my bicep. It's just going to hold it, and then it's going to get tired and it's going to get weak. So in order to work to make it stronger, I need to work it. So pelvic floor is the same. And a lot of things can cause our pelvic floor to tighten. And if you think about when you raise your shoulders, often that's like also connecting to that pelvic floor. You tighten your jaw, it's connecting to the pelvic floor. You tighten your tummy muscles. You might really fit and you might have really tight tummy muscles, and the muscles are tight, but when they're tight, they're not moving. And with our breath, our pelvic floor moves. So a lot of women actually have a very tight pelvic floor. So quite often, well, normally what I start with in my workshops is actually helping women release the pelvic floor. So a lot of that is about breath. We teach how to breathe well, how to breathe that connects with the pelvic floor. So you're not breathing like this, isn't connecting to the pelvic floor. So we teach how to breathe and find ways and positions of breathing where you're connecting to the pelvic floor. We look at ways of relaxing because tight muscles can't be strengthened. So we look at ways of relaxing the pelvic floor, whether that's through breathing, through finding positions that you can be in that where you can really feel it relaxing, but also stretching it, doing stretches with these muscles that are all surrounding. So you've got your glutes, you've got your thighs. And if those muscles are tight, that again is connecting to the pelvic floor. So normally I start with actually looking at how can we relax our pelvic floor? How can we get our breath connecting there? And how can we make sure there's no tension holding there, because we can't tighten it until we do that. And then once we've worked at that, then we look at, okay, now how can we connect with a pelvic floor contraction and just work into that pelvic floor without the whole body clenching. And then we look at doing movements and exercises and at the same time connecting with the pelvic floor. So I normally run a 4-week workshop, and by week 4, we're looking at, okay, so how can we incorporate the pelvic floor with everyday active daily living, so that when we're stepping, we're connecting to that pelvic floor. We're doing nice even steps where we're not sort of jarring the pelvic, your pelvis is actually getting flowing movement rather than a tight sort of, not really being worked efficiently. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So you said you're doing breath movement, connecting that to the pelvic floor. You're doing a range of exercises that will make sure that we tighten the pelvic floor. So, and those can stop the leaks that women sometimes may have during menopause or even after childbirth, or a range of other things. So what other things women, as I was reading your website, I think that other things I saw there, like urge incontinence and a range of other things that women may go through, that, and it's not really, it may be doing or not doing menopause that they suffer from. What kind of things that women suffer from in their health around that area?
Okay, yeah. Irritable bladder. So that's where you think, oh my goodness, I need the loo, and you've got to go now. You get home to your door, you put your key in the door, it's like, I need to go now. Or you're getting up in the night, you're going, and it's that bladder going, I need the loo, I need the loo. And sometimes it actually doesn't need the loo, but you've got it into bad habits. So we help, in my workshops, I help you stop those bad habits and say, and stop the pelvic floor from being irritable. Sometimes it can be food-based that can cause it. Sometimes it is habit. And obviously there might be issues going on. So I always recommend to clients, go and seek medical advice. If you're really concerned and if something's not going away, ask a doctor, get referred. Because if you then know, actually, it is just, there's nothing wrong with me that the doctor's found, I've just got to, you can then work on strengthening that pelvic floor. There's no outside influences. You've got irritable bladder. A lot of these do come with menopause because with menopause, as I say, with the hormones going up and down, the imbalance of hormones, absolutely the needing to go to the loo more in the night. We don't necessarily sleep so well. And sometimes that's a vicious circle. So we don't sleep so well. We wake up, go to the loo. And then we get in that habit of going to the loo because we've woken up. And because you're going to the loo more in the night, your bladder isn't used to filling properly. So when it comes to the day, those nighttime habits have crossed to the day. That's irritable bladder. Prolapse, that's another major issue, which actually is really, really common. In childbirth, most women suffer a mild prolapse, and that's where the organs, so within this pelvic bowl, we've got our bowel, our bladder, and our uterus, and they're all sitting there. So when you have children or when you have a baby, the muscles here get weaker, and these also with age, with time, these organs can drop or move. They shift around, that's what a prolapse is. And it also can be because the area, the fascia, the muscles holding it from above can get weaker as well. We just think it's all coming from here, but actually it's the whole area. And I think that's the thing to understand. And that's what I like to show in my workshops, is it's not all about here. It's about the whole body. Everything we're doing is having an effect. So a prolapse, a big thing. Anyone who's had a hysterectomy, you've removed that uterus, and these organs have more room to move around. And actually, after a hysterectomy, you're more prone to a prolapse or pelvic floor dysfunction. So that's really something to be aware of, and not something people are told about. So with prolapse, again, we can look at how can we get these muscles stronger? How can we release any tension? It might be you've got really tight muscles sort of in here by the sit bones, and it's sort of pulling those organs that way. So it makes sense if we can release these muscles here, either from the outside or through a therapist that might do any internal therapy, then we can help them shift. So Yes, so that's irritable bladder. You've got prolapse. We've got bowel issues, and they're things that women really don't like to talk about. Some of that can come from prolapse, where we have a prolapse through the rectum or through the anus. And that can be really embarrassing. And also just a bowel leakage, just like bladder leakage, a lot of women suffer with. And as I say, that's not something women talk about, but it is something that we can we can often fix. Leakage, we can often fix that through our courses. We can certainly improve it.
Okay. Thank you for that. Why do women, if you, because we talked about a range of things now, prolapse, bowel leakage, and a range of other things that women suffer from. Why are we ashamed to talk about these things? And I need to, because I think that's where I wanted to go with this about removing the bias. Why do women feel not able to talk about it? I know maybe we can't talk about them with men, but maybe in a safe space. Why are we shy to raise these key issues that affect our well-being, especially leakages that will affect us when we are in midlife?
I don't know. It's such a shame, isn't it? Because it's something that's always happened. It's like menopause. Women don't, now more and more, there is more talk about it, and women are more likely and able to talk about it. But it is sort of an embarrassment to women, and certainly bowel issues. And I was talking to a lady who rang me. She said, she was talking about she has got young children and that she leaks. She said, I've just said it to you. She said, you're the first person I've actually admitted to that I have leaks. And she said, I was walking with one of my mummy friends, and she told me, oh, I couldn't possibly run. But she said, I didn't ask her why, but I wonder if she's got the same thing going on that I've got in that pelvic floor issues. So I don't know, Wunmi. You've got these two women who are obviously both suffering with pelvic floor issues, with incontinence, and yet they can't even talk about it together because they probably don't know each other well enough. But that is why I do what I do. So on my Facebook group, at the moment, I'm doing a video every day for 30 days, giving different tips, giving different hints about how you can help your pelvic floor, what things might be affecting it, and just talking about it. And on social media, I talk about it. And I just think that's all we can do is keep talking about it and letting women know it's normal, because that's the other thing. I think some women feel it's shameful and they feel they're the only one that's got the problem. So I feel like the more we can talk about it, the more women go, oh, actually, I'm normal. That's not, I'm no different from anyone else. And there is help out there as well.
Okay, thank you so much. So it's normal to talk about these things, women.
Mm.
I mean, it's normal to talk about some of the things, and I'm very passionate about women in particular because we seem to keep everything under wraps. You know, there's shame with that, there's shame with this, and we don't have to be shameful about these things. If you're leaking and it's affecting your well-being, it's going to affect your confidence, isn't it, Sarah?
Oh, so much. And those ads with those women who they're wearing pads. I don't know if you've seen them there for, some sanitary wear, protective tenor pants. And they're drinking their wine, they're dancing, they're saying, hey, I'm so happy because I've got my pads on. It's like, there is no big sign saying, great, wear those pads because they are brilliant. We're really lucky we've got them. But hey, you can do something about this. You don't need to be accepting it. Don't accept it. See what you can do to help yourself. And you might still need the pads, who knows? But what if you could go without them? Wouldn't that make you much happier than if you were dancing around with them? And there should be a big sign saying, you can, there is so much you can do to help yourself. But it's not always a quick fix. That's what I say to people. You didn't wake up one morning and just say, oh, I'm leaking really badly. It's like, you might have a little trickle. You might do it when you cough, and then suddenly, oh, now I'm walking and I'm having a leak, or I'm getting up from my chair. And as you get older, these things might just, it's a gradual process. So if we understand what's happening, we can gradually change things with movement, with breath, with changing bad habits, so that we can actually improve the problems.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments. Someone says those tenor pants are very helpful. But what if we can actually get you to actually not use them? Because this is why I brought Sarah on to actually strengthen the pelvic floor in a way that you don't need pads, or you only need them occasionally. And the reason why I'm coming on is about the confidence it affects with women. All these issues that we affect. I wouldn't have thought about having a hysterectomy would affect your pelvic floor. I didn't know that.
Oh, what? Sorry, oh yes. And you won't be told that by the doctors in the hospital. No, it's a major issue.
It's a major issue.
Yeah.
So if you're out there listening to us and you've had an hysterectomy, I was trying to pronounce the word because it's a bit of a mouthful. Yeah. It may be affecting your pelvic floor. So somebody like Sarah is able to actually help you overcome those issues that you have around that area. Yeah. Thank you very much. So
yeah,
and tell people, yeah.
Go on. No, so carry on.
Okay. Could you tell people more about because I know you have a workshop coming up very soon, I think next week. Could you tell people more about that workshop that you're doing next week on the 29th, I think?
I will. So yes, on the 29th, I am doing a workshop on the pelvic floor in peri to post menopause. So because like I'm saying, is a lot of women are frightened because they don't know what's happened or things happen and they just think, oh, that must just be normal. That's just happening. And everybody has a bit of a leak when they cough. Everybody has a leak when they sneeze. And you're right, a lot of people do. And like your lady said, we are very lucky we do have sanitary wear over here because a lot of women don't. We're very, very lucky. But you don't need it often. There is so much we can do. I think they did a test, and I think it's about 85% in an old people's home. And they did this test with women who were all, they were all cognitive. They didn't have dementia or anything. And they trained the carers in the care home to teach these women how to work their pelvic floors. And 85% of them were able to come off pads, sanitary pads. That is incredible, isn't it? They were older people. And I've seen it with older people in my groups in their 80s who can get rid of their pads. So it's never too late. I'm sort of going off on a different track. So my workshop is for helping women. It's just an hour. Understand what happens in menopause and why they might be suffering from prolapse, leakage, pelvic pain, vaginal dryness. That's something I didn't cover. Vaginal atrophy, which can happen in menopause. And in menopause, what happens is our body, the hormones dry up, our estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone dry up from the ovaries. We don't make them in the ovaries anymore. And our body is really, really clever because it adapts and it makes them in different ways. But actually for vaginal dryness, that's often something that is very hard to reverse. It's not reversible. So we need to really look after this area because so many women suffer with pain, with sex, pain just when sitting, when walking. So it's in the workshop, I'll be looking at all the different things that might affect the pelvic floor as we age and through menopause, and giving tips about what you can do to help yourself. And in an hour, obviously, I can't completely, I can't retrain that area for you, help you retrain that, but I can help you, and I can help. A lot of it is understanding because, like I was saying before, if you're stressed, you don't breathe properly, your pelvic floor isn't working properly, it's not getting that movement, and it can get tight, it can get painful. So if I can help you understand and I can help you release that tension, then actually already your pelvic floor is starting to heal. So the pelvic floor menopause is an hour at 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. in the UK. I send the recording. A lot of people aren't doing it live. I just send them the recording. And everyone who does it finds it really, really helpful. I've done it a few times before. So I run that workshop, and then some women, that's great. They're right on it. They get it, and they're able to help themselves. And other women then want to feed on to my 4-week workshop where we really do go into more detail about how everything's working and through the stages of how we can go to fix things.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Before we round up, I just wanted to, because we talked about vaginal dryness and sex pain. Why does that really happen when we're in menopause?
Well, the estrogen, lack of estrogen. Like I said, our pelvic floor loves estrogen, and without that, it gets dry. It gets dry. It acts like a lubrication. And so we need a vagina, just as a tip for everybody. And not everybody wants to have HRT. They want to do things naturally, but you can use a topical estrogen or a vaginal pessary of estrogen, which doesn't affect the rest of the body. It literally goes straight to there, and it makes things plumper and more comfortable. But as I said, it's something you sort of want to look at, you want to be aware of. So if you do get any symptoms, you can go to your doctor and say, look, this is what I'd like, because they don't always know the answer for that. We often have to guide them with what we want. So it's the lack of estrogen that causes that dryness
in vagina area. Thank you so much for clarifying that. It's the lack of estrogen that causes vagina dryness. And sometimes, as you said, the GPs don't even know, they don't know what we need. And you go and seek them for advice and give you the wrong thing, So please, if you're not sure that, and I really want to say, if you're not sure about some things around menopause, please speak to some women who know about the menopause. When women are in menopause, speak to them. Someone like Sarah would be a very good person to speak to, really, to get ideas of how you can actually enjoy this season of your life, isn't it? Shouldn't we enjoy menopause?
100%. It shouldn't be, how fantastic not having periods. I mean, I don't know about you, but I had another thing that we can get in our from our 40s is really, really heavy periods. And I certainly did. When I was about 40, I started to get such heavy periods. And I actually later on then had a coil, Mirena coil, that gave off progesterone. And what I wasn't aware of is actually that progesterone just was, that changed my life, not, having lighter periods. And the thought of not having periods, I mean, how fantastic is that? What amazing freedom.
It is. I'm telling you, even when I was coming I was in perimenopausal, and I still am. I had very heavy periods, but I'm a lot better now. I mean, too much blood. Who wants that anyway? So really, women, you just need to get the knowledge and apply it to your life so that you can feel confident and also look confident. And I really believe in that women should feel confident and also look confident. And this is one of the things you could do around building your confidence as a woman who's in midlife, isn't it? Before we round up.
100%, yes, yeah, because you're right, and when you're not confident, your whole body shape changes. But actually, if you can open up, your mood lifts. Your symptoms are actually often less because your mood has lifted, your breathing's improved. It's like a vicious circle, isn't it? You get worried about something, you go like that. If you can just ease that tension and the stress, then you open up.
Thank you so much. I love the idea. So we're going to end on that. Doing the right thing around your people can lift your mood, release tension, release stress. I was watching one of your videos, talking about releasing stress, shaking your hands out. And I was thinking, you know what? We need it, don't we?
Yes, yeah. And we don't realize that, when I say to people, shake, we did this shaking, didn't I? And we showed you like the power of the shaking. It brings so much energy into your hand and it releases that tension. And we don't realize how much tension we're holding a lot of the time and how it affects our brain, which then affects everything. Stress, I would say, more than anything else for menopause and a lot of things in life, but for menopause is the biggest factor.
Thank you so much. So where can people find you? And if they wanted to join you, and to know about the work that you do, how can they reach you?
Well, I have a website called happyatyourcore.com, happyatyourcore.com. I have a Facebook group called Happy at Your Core, and maybe I could put a link on it on your group.
Yes,
Wunmi. I'll put on the comments.
Just all your things in the link.
I'll put it in the comments, and also put a link to booking my workshop if anyone would like to do the 1 hour workshop. So it's just an hour, and if a lot, and it's really discreet. My workshops, it's never, I will never then go on social media and say, hey, you asked this thing about your bladder incontinence. It's like, this is all about you. It's not about telling the whole world, because I know it's private. And so, yes, I'll put the link to the workshop and to my website. And I would love, anyone wants to join my group. I just want to get this word out that it's okay to talk about. And there are lots of other women going through the same as you.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, I know this is a live broadcast and we are going live and we will share this, but we know that issues around this space is quite confidential and private. So Sarah has deals with that and on the most, is very ethical with her business. We won't share all these things around, so you can be safe in her hands because I really believe in creating a safe space for women to talk about these issues so that they can be empowered to thrive. So this will be shared because this is just a video. But any other things you do, anything that is private, is will be confidential. So please feel free to reach out to Sarah if you've got any problems in those areas. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I'd love to hear from you. Just want to help as many women as possible. You know,
Thank you so much. And on that
talk to me.
note, yeah, we are going to be saying bye for now. And thank you for all those who was on the live. Yeah, thank you so much. Yetunde Odebi was on the live, and somebody else I can't see your name. It says Facebook user. Thank you so much for watching the live this morning. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. And yeah, bye for now. And you can be
Wonderful.
empowered, yeah, to thrive, isn't it? Break this bias and the barrier around menopause and thrive. Yeah. What did you say, Sarah?
I said, thank you very much. And I totally agree with everything you say. Wonderful. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, Sarah. Thank you so much as well. Thank you too. Bye, everyone.
Bye.